I made a list of everyone who wanted to destroy me. I was missing someone. The first CPS visit blindsided me completely. I was making dinner when someone knocked and I opened the door to a woman with a clipboard who said, "I'm Linda Walsh from Child Protective Services. We received a report about the welfare of your children." I stood there with spaghetti sauce on my shirt while this stranger explained that someone had called in an anonymous tip, claiming I left my kids home alone for hours. I'd never left my kids alone for a single minute in their lives. The caseworker walked through my house checking the fridge and the bedrooms and asking my daughter if mommy ever went away without her. The whole thing took 2 hours and ended with Linda saying, "Everything looks fine here." I figured it was a mistake. 2 weeks later, Linda was back. This time the tip said I was starving my children. She opened my fully stocked refrigerator and apologized for the inconvenience. A week after that, someone reported I was leaving drugs out where my kids could reach them. I don't even take aspirin. I sat down and made a list of anyone who might hate me enough to do this. My ex-husband Kevin was at the top because we'd been fighting about custody for 2 years, and his new wife had made it very clear she wanted my kids full-time. My neighbor Deborah had called me a bad mother once because my son was playing outside without shoes. A woman at work named Angela had made weird comments after I got promoted over her. I started watching all of them carefully for any sign. The fourth investigation was the worst. The tip claimed I was physically abusing my daughter and described a bruise on her left arm that she'd gotten falling off her bike 2 days earlier. Linda looked at me differently this time and said, "Whoever is calling knows very specific details about your household. They know your children's schedules, what they eat, when they sleep. This person has access to your life." I installed cameras on every door. I told Kevin he couldn't take the kids until this was resolved, and he screamed over the phone that I was crazy and alienating and he'd see me in court. I caught Deborah photographing my house from her driveway, and when I confronted her, she said, "Someone has to look out for those poor children." I reported Angela to HR after she asked how the investigations were going with a weird smile on her face. My mom came over that night to help with the kids while I dealt with everything. She brought groceries and cooked dinner and told me it would all be okay. She said, "You're such a good mother. Anyone can see that. Whoever is doing this must be sick in the head." She asked what the caseworker said, and I vented about every detail while she listened and shook her head sympathetically. The fifth investigation happened 3 days later. The tip described exactly what my children had eaten for dinner the night before: chicken nuggets, apple slices, and the strawberry yogurt my mom had brought over. Linda sat me down and said, "I've been doing this job for 15 years and I've never seen anything like this. These tips are coming from someone inside your life." I said, "I know, but I can't figure out who." She said, "The caller slipped up this time. She mentioned your daughter's pediatrician appointment next week, the one that got rescheduled to Thursday." The room tilted sideways. I hadn't told anyone about the rescheduled appointment except my mom, who'd offered to drive us. Linda said, "The voice prints on the calls are from a woman in her 60s. We've been building a case." I drove to my mother's house and walked in without knocking. She was sitting in the living room with a photo album open on her lap, pictures of my kids at every age. She looked up and smiled. "Oh, honey, I was just looking at how big they're getting." I said, "It was you." Her smile stayed fixed. "What was me, sweetheart?" I said, "The calls to CPS, all 6 of them. You're trying to take my children from me." The smile didn't waver. "I'm trying to save them. You work too much. You're never home. Those babies need someone who can be there full time, and that someone is me. I raised you, and I can raise them right." I said, "You described the bruise on Lily's arm. You told them what the kids ate for dinner. You knew about the pediatrician because I told you." She closed the album calmly and said, "I did what any good grandmother would do. Those children deserve stability, not some overwhelmed single mother who parks them in daycare 10 hours a day." I said, "I'm calling the police." She laughed like I'd told a joke. "And tell them what exactly? That grandma loves her grandchildren too much? They'll think you're the crazy one, sweetheart. They always do." My mother was arrested 2 days later. At her hearing, she looked right at me and said, "I gave her everything, and this is how she repays me."